Hi guys! Today I have a way of batch producing Christmas cards. If you're doing some last minute cards, I made 24 cards of 3 different designs, which I sketched out before I started. I tried to use mostly things that are easy to use over and over, things like acrylic paint or doilies that you can get in bulk for not too much. Um, because that way I could use the same design over and over, whereas things like stickers, you tend to get only one of each sticker, so it's hard to reuse designs. For the first design, I mixed acrylic paint in various shades of light blue, put it on some packaging with some water, splattered and dripped a little bit, and that was pretty much it. If I found that my colours were too mixed together, once I placed them on the paper, I added some more of a different shade. Just layer it up, just make it look good. Packaging technique is obviously a staple. I found that drips tended to look quite nice. And you can see here I'm adding some glitter, and I do this by adding paint and then adding glitter on top. In reality, what I should have done was add glitter as soon as I put on the paint, um, but I wasn't thinking that far ahead, so that would have been a lot easier for me. And I think it's really nice to hand make Christmas cards because, well, not at least to your closest friends, just because I personally don't have enough money to get presents for all of my closest friends, even if they all deserve it. So I like to show that I am thinking of them in some way. And a card is a good way to do that. And I like using the icy blue colors because they kind of say winter without being all red and green. Especially for mixed media, I think using red and green is a bit difficult because if you mix red and green, you get brown. That's just that's colors. So here I'm dry brushing on kind of brush strokey stripes of paint. Um, and I did that by not wetting the brush too much and just kind of scraping it on. And you do get through quite a lot of paint that way, so it's easy if you add a bit of water, but I didn't until right near the end. And my plan was to cut out the shape of a Christmas tree from some white card and stick it on top so that the blue was peeking through, but I end up changing my idea. So here I'm dry brushing on some black circles. Um, they're kind of meant to be like the night sky. That particular card design does become quite grungy. I think my favorite design was the first one. Um, so maybe I should have made all of my cards that design, but it's nice having some different ones as well, I think. And I actually got all this done, not including writing the cards, in a couple of hours. Um, Oh, and this is what I'm doing for my black card. I'm cutting a doily into a snowflake, and I folded it into six, then folded it in half again. But you can find lots of templates online, and I decided to use a doily because I thought that the edging would make it look more intricate than it actually was. Uh, and also because it already comes in circles, so I don't need to cut out my own circles. And I fiddled a bit with how I was cutting it out before I got it right, because unfortunately the doilies were about the same size circle as the black, so I had to cut them a bit smaller. Um, it just looked a bit odd because you could barely see any of the black around it, and then I offset it a bit from the black, so there's more black on one side than the other. Um, and my idea was kind of getting the contrast, the black and white there, and the doily is obviously meant to be a snowflake. My mum thinks it looks some kind of science fiction thing, which now I think about it kind of does. Maybe if I had thought through my doily cutting more, it would have gone better. So next what I'm going to do is show you how I intended to do the Christmas tree cards, which was I was going to cut out squares the same size as my card, and I thought my cards were 5 by 5 inch, but they were actually just under 6 by 6 inch. So I draw these squares and I cut them out, and they're too small. So if I continue the design I was planning on, I've effectively wasted that card. Um, I mean, I could have done it this way, but you'll see in a second. So I draw on the tree. With this, I would say, firstly, I think thinner trees look better. That's to be honest, this bit is nothing like what my final design ends up like. Thinner trees are better. So I cut out the tree like this, but what I ended up doing was cutting around the outside. And then I was going to have the blue peeking through. And I think maybe, I'm not sure whether I prefer it with the tree on top as I ended up doing it, or the cutout hole, but the tree on top definitely uses paper more efficiently, which is kind of my idea. See, you can kind of see the blue around the edges and it's all wonky and I don't like it. So, here's me like, oh no, I did the wrong size, I'll change the size, but I actually changed the size in the wrong way, so only one of the squares, even at this point, is big enough. Um, and I didn't want to make just one card front out of a whole sheet of cardstock. So here you can see the actual trees I did. Then I'm going to show you all the doilies I've made. Yay, lovely. And finally, what I'm going to do with this card. So this card, I'm going to do some messy brush writing Merry Christmas, and I'm testing out how big it needs to be. And I think it looks nice when it's really nice and small. And I was fine with it being a bit messy because I'm not a brush scripter, so I did them all quite quickly. And I splattered some black ink on just to because otherwise it just looked like messy writing this way. Oh look, it's all ink stained and artsy. My main tip with this is writing on the glitter is quite hard, so try and when you're doing it, leave a space for the glitter. And here I'm showing you how I'm going to do my tree. And there's a change which I don't show in the video, which is that I do a dashed line silver border with a pen all the way around each of my trees. It's actually surprisingly quick to do, and I think the card was a bit plain otherwise, and maybe I could have done some kind of splatters or something, but this was after I'd put away all my paints and everything, so I wanted something a bit less messy. And it's nice how it catches the light. So I propped up each of the trees on cardboard to help them stand out from the blue background. Then I punched a small red star to stick on top of the tree, because what is a tree without a star? Or an angel, but you don't get tiny angel punches. So here I'm showing you how I'm finishing off the abstracty card. So I get 2 thin strips of Christmas washi tape. One of them's just a red strip and the other one's white with stars. And these are actually quite new, and they're from Kralando. I don't know where they were bought because my aunt got them, but which was very kind of her. So with the doily one, I just stick on the doily and splatter gold paint over it for that extra sparkle. And that's all of my cards finished. I'm going to have detailed shots after this. So try out this kind of process of batch making cards to speed things up. Also put some extra effort in for like people you love. I'm going to link my Instagram down below. I hope you have a very lovely Christmas. Thanks for watching. Bye!